Hallo und willkommen, ich heiße Crazy. Whoops, wrong language, sorry. So, while I talk about my history as a gamer, I'm just gonna have some random gameplay from skirt videos playing on screen. Okay, ready? Okie dokie. When I was 6, I got a Nintendo Wii for my birthday. I played a bunch of classics on there, like Mario Kart, Super Mario Galaxy, although I never really finished the game, Wii Sports Resort with the fitness board thing that everyone jumped on even though you weren't supposed to, and it was kind of my segue to the gamer world. I think it was Christmas that same year that I got a Nintendo 3DS, one of the original ones. Sadly, it broke years ago, and it was on that I played my first Pokemon game, Pokemon Omega Ruby. I played the hell out of that game and a couple other Pokemon games. My favourite's Platinum. But then I found Minecraft. I was 8 when I found out about Minecraft. I love the game, and still do to this day, but as most 8-year-olds did, I mostly spent my time in creative building houses. However, I did quite enjoy online PvP. I was awful as I was new to PC gaming, but this is something I would return to later. It was then that I found Team Fortress 2. For a very long time, if you had asked me what my favourite game was, I would have said Team Fortress 2. And maybe still to this day. But not for the gameplay, but for the characters. I adore the Meet the Team videos. I'd even say they're probably some of my favourite videos on the entirety of the internet. Now, I only have like 160 hours on Team Fortress 2, and that's because to this day, I'm still awful at the game. It's the only game I could never get above average in. Although I have recently started trying it a bit now, a bit more patient, and I've gotten a lot better at the game since I was 12, I can tell you that. I continued playing the game for around 2 months, and that leads us to Overwatch. For a long time, I hated Overwatch, as in my head it was just a carbon copy of Team Fortress 2, but with a lot of arse. Like, a lot of arse. A friend convinced me to watch a few videos on the game, and I soon learned the monumental differences between the two. I later then bought Overwatch 2 on its 2nd anniversary, and was also terrible at the game. But, like TF2, I was really enjoying myself. However, I only played it for like a month or two, and then another game caught my eye. Although I would return to Overwatch in the future. And this is what I now refer to as the dark ages of my gaming life, as the game in question was Fortnite. Now, I had somehow avoided Fortnite's influence for over a year. Like, I didn't even know of its existence till the game was almost a year old. I wasn't even going to install it till Arran eventually convinced me to at least try it. So I downloaded the game in Season 5 on my HP laptop from the early 1200s, and seriously enjoyed the game. No, really. Even though I could just barely play the game at 30 FPS, I was enjoying myself. But I soon got fed up of not being able to fight people due to frame drops, and that's when it all went wrong. I got a Switch for Christmas of 2019, immediately installed the game, still a relatively humble gamer at the time, was finally able to get my first win, because even though I was still on 30 FPS, it was a consistent 30 FPS. And as I started getting better, I also started becoming a bit more of a war pig. If you don't know the term war pig, it's a reference to a Team Fortress 2 hat stereotype where the player thinks they are much better than they actually are. To keep the story going, one of my little brothers later got a PlayStation 4, and so I played on there a little, and yet again I got better at the game, as the jump from 30 FPS to 60 was huge. Around this time I had over 700 hours on the Switch, and I would rack up almost 300 on the PlayStation. I played Fortnite literally every day, practicing all different kinds of movement techniques, building techniques, anything to get better, because I thought I was really good. I even started trying competitive, but I was awful because I was just generally not very good at the game. But then I got a proper PC in the beginning of 2020, and that's when I finally realised I wasn't enjoying myself. I realised that all this practicing just wasn't fun, and the very few times that I did win, it wasn't fun either. I quit the game after this realisation, and not knowing what to do, I went back to where I left off, with Overwatch. But the entire time I was playing Fortnite, I was playing with a controller. I had played a little bit of mouse and keyboard, but not much, so my aim was abysmal, to say the least. Or so I thought. Now, I didn't really main anyone in Overwatch, so one of the first days after rejoining Overwatch, I said, sod it, I'm gonna try Widow. And much to my surprise, I didn't do horribly. I started playing more Widow, trying my hardest to find new ways to improve my aim. I started practicing every day just to improve my aim. I was a Widow main. Looking back on it now, my aim was nowhere near as good as it is now. And even now, it's not as good as it was. But again, poor old Overwatch didn't last long, as I remembered another game with interesting movement. Now for context, I'm a bit of a movement nerd. I love crazy wacky movement in video games, and even in Fortnite I tried to exploit the movement mechanics as much as I possibly could. And so the fact it took almost 4 months to remember Apex Legends was a thing almost criminal. I downloaded Apex in Season 5, aka the season that added Loba and nothing else. I really enjoyed the game, and wasn't too bad either, so I decided I was going to try and get to gold rank on my first season. And it kind of went like this. So bronze was easy, I mean it's bronze, it's supposed to be easy, but surprisingly silver was a little difficult. Now I'm not sure if it's just me not being as good as I thought I was, or if my teammates were just really bad, but I somewhat struggled. I did get my first win streak however, so I guess that's something to say, but it was around silver 1 that stuff started getting a little bit mentally draining, until I met someone who had become one of my best friends ever. Big Hammy gamer TTV, also known as Hammy. Yeah, I met Hammy on Apex 2 years ago now. We lost the game, we got second though, and we added each other after that, and we've basically just been playing and hanging out ever since. It was then only a few games later that I got to gold, and then Season 6 came along, and I stopped playing for that season, as rank drained me of all will to play, so I buggered off to Minecraft, now with actually decent aim, and was a million times better at PvP, although I'm still pretty bad. Finally, Season 7 Apex rocked around, with a new map, a new hero, and new motivation from me. Also, I think playing Minecraft for 2 months somehow made my aim and tracking better. I somehow came back to Apex better than ever, and so I then decided to set the goal for Platinum rank. I started off solo, again, this time I managed to get to gold quite quickly, and without too much trouble, but then I started struggling. Again, there was only like 2 weeks left before the season ended, and my chances of getting to Platinum were looking a little dire. So I just said, screw it. I got Hammy in a call, and I just said, let's just play some ranked for fun. And I don't know how we did this, but in like 7 games, I went from gold 4 to almost gold 2, and Hammy went from silver 3 to silver 1. And half a week later, and a lot of painful games later, we did it. We reached Platinum. The season ended, and we both agreed that the next step was Diamond. Season 8 started, and we got to Platinum without too much trouble this time, but then I snapped. I just couldn't carry on with Apex Ranked anymore. And then later on, I couldn't even continue with Apex anymore. I wasn't having fun. I fully quit Apex. The combination of the unchanging meta, the campy play style the game had started endorsing killed me. I still have massive PTSD to this day, and that was over a year ago now. After that, I went back to Overwatch. Back to Widow. After all 600 of my Apex hours, my aim and movement were actually pretty good. I almost never got outsniped in games. I tried Overwatch Ranked again. I had played it a little bit before I even went back to Apex, but I basically ruined my account as my rank was silver gold. No matter how hard I carried, which I did carry almost every Overwatch ranked game I played, it wasn't enough. And that's when it hit me. I cared too much about winning. I had completely forgotten that video games are made to be enjoyed. They aren't something you should get stressed about. And personally, I've found that just memeing around, not playing seriously, is a million times more fun than getting frustrated over losing. I still continued playing Overwatch and still play it every now and again. I made some awesome friends on that game over on Twitch. But now we finally reach the last segment. Genshin Impact. The combination of both the YouTube ads and the character design got me to install the game. And I've been hooked ever since. I have almost 1,200 hours on the game, making it I think my second or third most played game ever. I got extremely lucky starting off, as in the first 3 pulls I got Beidou, so I mained her for a decent bit of time, but then I got Rosaria and Kazuha banner, and then 3 pulls later got Kazuha himself. So I mained Rosaria till I pulled Kaching on standard banner. I may or may not have seen a few leaks for future characters, and so I started saving for who would be my favourite character. I started saving almost immediately after getting Kazuha, as that's when I kind of found out about her. And then quite stupidly pull on Yoimiya banner, but luckily I still won both my 50-50s and got both Yoimiya and A, and I've mained her ever since. And then I made my YouTube channel. But I'll leave that story for another video because this video is getting way too long already. So on screen, there should be more videos about me. All I can say is, enjoy them.